So, Al, when you're setting up a cue mix for an artist, singer out in the studio, how do you go about it?
Well, it depends on two things. It depends on, one, if it's the artist is overdubbing to existing tracks, then I certainly can be in front before the artist even shows up, get a really good balance with the right amount of echo on things and everything in a great place. And so that when the artist comes in, they will set up a little mix thing for them. They can bring their voice up if they want louder or softer, and we'll set an echo feed up where they can add more echo if they want or less, and so that they're perfectly comfortable. If we're doing a big orchestra date or a rhythm section and a vocalist and we have to set up the earphones, 90% of the time my assistant does that while I'm getting my balances and making sure the mics are in the right place and everything's working. He's working on setting up an earphone balance for the artist and the producer. And they'll ask for certain things during the session. They want a little more of this or a little less space in the earphones or whatever. And he takes care of that. And that's it. It's pretty much a pretty simple thing. In most studios now, we have good facilities for getting a good mix on earphones. And in most cases, you can give them a little mix board where you have the rhythm section on one, maybe brass on another, and a solo on another, and then the vocal and echo, so that they can control their own. Sometimes a balance that makes them comfortable. When we go out and put the earphones on, we can't figure out how they could even sing to it. It's so off, but that's what they like. So we give them that little extra stuff to be able to make adjustments.
I mean, it's funny you say that, because I found sometimes that when I do it, that freedom of choice messes some singers up. And once, if I'm working with an artist, I'll set up a headphone balance and hand it to them. And sometimes they're more comfortable. I'll set up the balance and set up the level that they're hearing of themselves in the reverb. And sometimes they're more comfortable if I go out there and go, here, try singing to this, and not having to touch anything, not having to do that, because they don't always know. Also, sometimes I find that if I send them the stereo bus, what we're listening to in the control room, with just a more me, that they can turn themselves up, that sometimes goes quickly and it works really well too. I mean, do you ever do that?
I don't do that. I don't give the artist a two-track mix from what we're doing. I usually have a good balance set up in front, so any adjustments they want to make are minor. I saw a session one time where they were complaining so much about the earphone mix, and I felt so bad for the engineer. And the engineer finally said, listen, why don't you come in here and do the mix yourself? And they came in, and they couldn't get a good mix that they were happy with. So no matter what went on, they were going to have to adjust some way to what was there. So you try to make them as comfortable as possible. And sometimes you run into a rare occasion where they don't want to touch anything. And so you got to make sure that everything is comfortable. And I always ask, are you happy with the phones? You got enough voice? You got enough echo? You hearing the rhythm section? Anything I can do to make it better?
Job number one, making the artist comfortable.
Absolutely.